Hey, what's up everyone? Ian here. We're doing another install on the Fresh Mobile. We're going to be doing a brake pad swap. I'm upgrading to the StopTech Street Performance brake pads, flushing the old brake fluid out and putting in some racing fluid. So let me show you what I got here. Got the Motul RBF 600 .4. This was recommended by my buddy Scott at performancespec.com. Go check his website out. This is where I got all my stuff from. Always taking care of me. I also have my camber bolts. These are white line. And of course I got the RCE yellow springs for my car. So I got a lot of suspension / braking things to do. So hopefully, I don't think we'll do the springs today. I don't know, we'll see what happens, but for sure the brake pads and also the brake fluid. So car's up on jack stands right now. We're kind of scoping things out and then we're gonna get started. So here's Senior Chief pulling out a guest star. That's my dad. Say what's up, Pops.
Hello. We're here.
Yeah, I'm putting him to work on his vacation, so you know, I'm sure he wasn't expecting that one, but it's all good. So we'll just record a little bit here and there and we'll get started.
Okay. There we go.
Got the caliper up, so it's held on by, what is this, a
14.
This is a 14mm bolt. You just loosen that up, pop this up, and then we're just going to swap the pads out. So these are the StopTech pads I'm talking about. Got all 8 pads, so these are the rears. And definitely want to get the brake grease over there. Pick that up at AutoZone or Kragen or wherever. So this is what you need to rock and roll, and then we'll just swap it in. So we just take these out. So we just pop this out. Boom, there's one. There's two. These are obviously brand new for the most part.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Lock that baby in there. There you go.
Greased up. I'm only putting like not even dime size on here. There we go. All right. Pop it in. Boom, there we go.
Good.
So we should be good. Gotta untie that again.
Thank God there's a master mechanic. Okay, there we go. Okay, you're gonna have to hold that with
Just reinstalling this right here.
Supposed to go 17. Yeah, 17. Let me tighten it.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Little action here.
You have to hold this 17.
Senior Chief says hold that while we tighten it, so we make sure that this isn't actually rotating. It's just the bolt.
I want to rip it rubber boot also.
That's pretty good. Yeah, I don't want to over torque that. So pretty similar thing that we want to do here in the front. There's a another bolt here, 14mm bolt, sitting right there. You just want to loosen that up. Make sure that the rubber boot is not twisting. You don't want to tear that up. Just take that out. Just pop this open. Make sure we're not putting any stress on the line back here. Make sure it's staying kind of straight. It's easy, that'll fold right there, not tweak too much. This hose right here. Want to be careful. Brake line. Bust out the StopTech pads. Eventually, maybe one day, I might put on a big brake kit, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. You know, gotta pay for diapers and whatnot, folks. So we're just gonna pop this out. Shazam! Boom. There's one. Sorry about that. We got the washer and dryer running in the background. You know, Family's on vacay down here, hanging out. I'm only putting just a little bit here, not too much. Some shim grease. Shimmy, shimmy.
That's how they came, right?
Both down like this. So they came both like this. See that this is the piston side.
Yeah.
Both the prongs, the wear prongs are on the bottom, and we want to match it up to make sure it's staying the same. And then drop this down. Should be good to go. Hopefully, we don't have to compress this, but I do have some C clamps if we need to.
The brake pads are ready.
There we go. So when you're lowering the caliper down, this little nut right here just kind of popped out a little bit. Just make sure it's not in the way. There it is. Making sure everything is good here. It looks good. I tightened everything on the calipers. Swapping the pads out is really easy, especially when the brakes are relatively new. But if you have old brake pads and they're worn down, or if you're swapping out rotors, you're going to need to get a C clamp. One of these. I actually bought some. I'll probably just keep the smaller one. Pick this up at AutoZone. So I want to get one of these to compress the brake pistons if you need to, but we didn't need to in our case. Because the pads are pretty much the same level. I'm not swapping the rotors out. Just make sure everything's lined up before you fold this caliper back down, so everything's lined up properly. And then tighten everything up, snug it up. Don't over tighten it. Just make sure it's secure enough to where you feel comfortable, but you don't want to crank it down too hard. All right, so now we're going to start flushing the old brake fluid out. So we have that set up here. We're going to withdraw or aspirate some of the older brake fluid into a bottle. So this is a little brake lead hose and system and whatnot, but the bottle's way too small that it came with. So I made a Costco special. So there's a zip tie here. This is one of the nicer zip ties where you can reuse them. Just press this tab down and loosen it up. So we'll have this with the bottle. Make sure you know where you're keeping your little nip covers. Protect the nips. Right there. So we'll just keep everything tidy. Cars on 4 jack stands, making sure we're safe. We're going to aspirate some of the old brake fluid here. We're putting some rags down to help protect the car. This stuff is super corrosive and not good for anything. The Kirkland brake fluid system, DIY. So we're going to withdraw just enough to create a seal for the tubing, and then the rest we're going to flush out. We want to make sure that the reservoir is not going to get completely dry, or else then there's going to be air in the system. Okay, so we've got a water seal there, definitely submerged. So I'm going to use a 10 mil wrench to open that up. I'll press the brake, and then the fluid will flush into it, and there shouldn't be any air in the system right now, right? But then we'll get all the old fluid out, we'll fill up the reservoir with the new brake fluid as well, and then we'll continue the process for each caliper. So the order for this car: passenger rear, driver rear, passenger front, and then driver front. That's the order we want to bleed the brakes and flush the system. Alright, so everything's set up. Filled up the rest of the reservoir up to the max line with the new brake fluid, and then we'll start flushing now. So I'll turn this here. Go ahead and press the brake. Loosen this up. Okay. Close it off. All right. Release. Okay. Press. Press. Okay, close it up, release. Press the brake. Okay, relax. Press. Okay, relax. Okay, you're gonna refill it now? All right, relax. Let's do one more. Press. And relax. So you can see that the fluid rose quite a bit here. Looks totally fine. Pops is going to check the reservoir. So
Remember, pull out the tube.
yeah, just a word of advice. You want to make sure that when you're disconnecting the bleeding tube, have a rag next to you, right? You want to cover right here. Make sure that when you disconnect, you're going to break the seal, right? Make sure this is tight all the way, right? So the person pushing the brake, having them press it until you tighten this all the way. And then you're going to pull the bleeding tube out. You're going to pull it out, make sure it's not underneath the liquid or the brake fluid, right? So you're breaking the water seal. And then that way you can drop this down, put it on the ground. You're going to disconnect here. Make sure you cover with the rag because it will spray still because there's still pressure within that bottle. And then disconnect and it'll go places. So just make sure you try and catch the rest either with some newspaper or a pan or whatever. And make sure you're wearing eye protection too when you're doing this, unless you want to lose your eyeballs. So I'm pulling the tube out. The bottle you can't really see because the Kirkland sign is there. The tube is out of the seal. I'm going to use a rag to cover everything else because we had an issue at the back, the rear. So I'm going to cover all this. I'm going to loosen this up. This is a zip tie that you can reuse, which is really nice. Loosen this up, slide it down, and got my eye protection on. I'm going to cover this and just kind of wiggle it out. I know. That's what I mean. So all that pressure that built up, it'll squirt right into this rag. If you're not careful, you could squirt yourself, so you don't want that. So I caught everything pretty much with the rag. I'm just going to wipe up here around actual brake system, make sure I didn't spray anything on here. And then cover it back up with the nipple here, nipple cover. Make sure this is tightened one more time. Yeah, that's tight. So far we're almost through one of the bottles that, one of the 3 that I bought. I don't think I need 3. I just wanted to be safe. We'll probably go through about 1.5. Cover this up. So on to the last one. Okay, the StopTech Performance Street Pads are in place. The OEM brake fluid is flushed out. We put in the new Motul 600 fluid. Just got done bleeding the brake system out, making sure all the old fluid is out of there. My buddy Scott, which I don't know if you guys know him, he's Scott Boatwright Racing. He does global time attack, redline time attack, and he said that the entire brake system takes 1 bottle. So that would be 500 mils. But yeah, it takes one bottle just like this to fill up the entire system. So we ran through at least 1 bottle, and then I'd say about I don't know, maybe 25% of the next bottle, just to make sure all that OEM brake fluid is out of there. I don't want any of that old fluid in there, especially when I'm driving hard and braking hard. So everything's good. We're gonna go test it out, make sure we don't die, and we should be okay. Right, Pops?
Yep.
All right.